Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. When you've been inside a relationship with virtually anyone, and that's the person you live with or your kids or extended family member, inside social circles, at places of work, it's not outside the norm for you to have moments of disagreement that end in frustration, and you just kind of walk away having this simmering sense of discomfort and dis-ease on the inside of you. And it's in those moments when you have those disagreements and then the lingering frustration that you actually learn how mature or not that relationship ultimately is going to be. In those moments when you have frustrations and disagreements, healthy people will respond pensively in the aftermath. They'll ponder both sides of the issues. They'll moderate their emotions and realize, okay, I got caught up in the midst of emotion, but I don't have to have that guide me. And then they'll take responsibility. That's what happens when you are on Team Healthy and you decide, I know I've got frustrations, but I'm going to do something in a constructive way with it. Now, let me just pause right there. What I just described, does that sound like anything the narcissist will say, yes, I'd like to join you in that effort? Instead, narcissists will go into their frustrations and they can't let go. Now, it could be that there may be times when they may not say or do anything immediate in the aftermath, but ultimately they'll suppress their emotions. They'll hold on to their tensions and frustrations, and over time, it festers in an unresolved way, and it builds and builds, and then more and more of their unhealthiness begins to show. For example, they can have a "how dare you disagree with me" attitude. And by the way, when they go into that space, they can also use lies and distortions and out of context exaggerations as they talk with you. Or in addition, they'll display a caustic and a corrosive attitude. And when I say corrosive, what I mean is it eats away at the fundamental goodness that they might have on the inside. It begins to just rot away some of the decency they have. They'll play the triangulation game. In other words, they try to bring other people to align with them against you. Sometimes they'll insist, well, not sometimes, they will insist upon maintaining dominance over you, and that dominance becomes punitive. The implication is, I'm going to make you regret ever coming against me. I'm going to undermine your influence. I'm going to ruin your reputation. That's what they do when a frustration or a disagreement arises. And you got two very, very different approaches towards that kind of scenario. Now, the question I have is, what does it reveal about a narcissist who responds to frustration and differences with a vindictive, with a spiteful kind of an attitude? Well, first and foremost, it illustrates what their character is. It illustrates that they lack integrity. They have no moral compass, or if they do, it certainly isn't turned on during that moment. They're willing to suspend any and all sense of decency for the purpose of destroying you. It reveals that they have very poor anger management skills. They don't have an internal system that says, hey, wait a minute, we need to figure this out in a clean kind of way. It also illustrates that they're deeply entrenched in fear and insecurity. Now, they'll try to come on as strong and very confident in what they think But it's kind of like, now me thinkest thou protesteth too much, to quote Mr. Shakespeare. Even when they try to come on strong, it shows they're very threatened by you. And when I say threatened, they're afraid of you, and they're afraid of your independent thoughts or your separate distinctions. It illustrates that they emphasize power over empathy, and it also illustrates that they're trapped inside their own pain-filled worldview. It's like, I hurt, I have pain, and I don't know what to do with it. All I know is I live inside a world that creates pain, and I'm all the way in with it. Now, as you have these differences and these strains with a narcissist, there's a price to pay. Or let me amend that just a little bit and say there are two prices that are going to be paid. One price is the recipient, the recipient of the vindictive attitude, is going to feel harmed, and that they're going to be harmed perhaps. The second price to pay is the one who perpetuates the vindictive attitude, the narcissist, descends deeper and deeper into psychological chaos. And I want to break those two down with you and see if we can understand what's going on there so that you can figure out how you're going to respond in the cleanest way. If you've been on the receiving end of a narcissist's vindictive behavior, yes, there is a price to pay. But what I want you to do is I want you to picture someone handing you a drink, and that person says to you just point blank, "Here, this is poison, and I want you to drink my poison. It's my gift to you." That's what's going on when the narcissist is vindictive and vengeful toward you. It's like, I want to give you poison, and I want to make sure that whatever you soak in based on what I offer to you is going to ruin you. I want you to let that soak in. Would you, in your wildest imagination, think, yeah, that's a great strategy? But that's what narcissists will do. Narcissists, they want, and that's not a strong enough word, they need you to be unhinged. And so as you're harmed, they want to make sure, yeah, and I want it to show. I want it to show in your being emotionally dysregulated. You're going to receive much criticism, and they're just going to whittle away at any decision you make. And it's not just your behavior that they're going to criticize, but it's your character that they're going to criticize. They want you to have doubts about the decency that's on the inside of you. Now, part of the price that you're going to pay is you're going to feel astonished. Sometimes you're going to feel fearful. Sometimes you're going to feel futile, and you're going to be thinking, surely that people can't live this way. But in fact, it soaks in on the inside of your mind, and it reminds you, actually, they can and they do. I'm living proof that happens. Your anger can become more and more prominent to the extent that it can turn into hatred and turn into bitterness. And that becomes part of the price that you pay because you don't want to be that kind of a person. And then also the part of the price you pay is you find yourself being defensive. Towards the narcissist, you feel like you have to defend, and even toward other individuals who have been pulled into the whole ruckus, you feel like you have to defend. That's your price that you have to pay. But then let's take a look at the price the narcissist pays, keeping in mind that they're not unscathed when they perpetuate a vindictive attitude. And the number one price, or the number one element in the price that they pay is the fact that their dark side becomes even more dark. And that's sad and pitiable. In other words, they go into a descent and they can't pull out of it. Whatever goodness they might have had begins to fade. A sadistic mindset becomes triggered. And when I say sadistic, what I mean is they actually begin feeling pleasure by watching you feel pain. Meanness becomes central to their character, and then they lose the ability to have any kind of logic or reasoning with you. And in the end, they become more and more untrustworthy in the way that they engage with you. So we have a narcissist in the midst of differences and disagreements who don't know how to manage their frustrations. And there's that price to pay that's on your side of the equation and on their side of the equation. But the biggest difference between people on Team Healthy and the person that's entrenched in narcissism is the healthy person can recover. They can recover and become restored in their place of decency, whereas the narcissist remains imprisoned inside a cage of their own making. Now, as you come to this realization and you know that there's a price that you have to pay, but you're going to be able to be restored, I hope that there's a mindset that you can hold on to as you move forward. You may decide, while I may not be able to control all of the external factors that the narcissist brings toward me and our differences, and there may be some pain, I'm not going to let that person control my interior. I'm a person of decency. I'm a person who's devoted to stability. I'm someone who prioritizes civility. I'll conduct myself in a manner that needs no apology. Unlike the narcissist, I'm defined by my higher priorities. I'm defined by love. I'm defined by peace. I'm defined by self-restraint. I'm defined by respect. I'll allow myself to feel my anger, but not at the expense of my integrity. Inside, I'm still a principled and reasonable individual. I refuse to hand over my personal stability to someone who is truly confused by life's perplexities. The narcissist will continue to pay the price for their own vindictive attitude. Yes, there is a price that you may sometimes pay in the sense of loss and frustration that can't be fully recouped. But in the end, I'm hoping you can decide I'm not going to sink as low as they want me to go. I'm going to continue to go back and reclaim my character. In the meantime, the narcissists, as they sink, they're going to go deeper and deeper into their own moral bankruptcy. Now, I hope the videos such as this can give you some good insight with respect to what you might be dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so and hit that notification bell that goes with it. We'll keep more videos coming your direction. I genuinely consider it an honor that you allow me to be on your peace journey with you. Now, many times when you are dealing with something like this, you may think, I could use some help. And, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online psychotherapy resource. And there's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that are waiting for you. All you have to do is go through the link that we have provided below and answer a few questions, and you get to select a therapist that can work with you. It can be so good for that person to sit down with you and say, let's talk, let's figure out who you are and what you've been dealing with and how we can get to the best version of you. Get the help that you need if that's appropriate. Now, in addition, after I've retired from my counseling practice, I've put together online courses. And each course has at least 25 teaching videos, and each video has handouts and guided questions. It's meant to be a highly therapeutic kind of a effort, and on your part, they're very extensive. We have the anger games course. Which is how to stay out of their anger traps, and along with This Is Me about establishing your boundaries. We also have Free to Be about finding yourself despite their control, and also Ready, Set, Connect about what the healthy relationship looks like. In addition, on my website, you're going to find access to my webinars, which are a different kind of teaching module where I go into a 90-minute presentation, and they're very effective and they've been very popular, along with access to my podcasts, many articles, my books, etc. Narcissists can be vindictive. Narcissists are not mature enough to know how to respond to differences in a clean and constructive kind of way. The price you pay is, yes, you'll feel some pain and you'll have harm, but you can pull out, you can recover. Narcissists, the price they pay is they become more and more defined by their ugliness, and it's sad to see it, but you have to remove yourself so that you can continue moving on. In doing so, I hope that you can dedicate your life to being a lifelong learner. You can become someone who is committed to your own personal steadiness. And in the end, I hope it helps you as you get to your place of internal peace.